Hi there, and welcome to the latest in a series of podcasts that follow along with our book, The Wizard of God. This is Steve Roy, and today we're going to be discussing Chapter 2, The Table. Once again, you're invited to download a free digital copy of The Wizard of God from our website, wizardofgod.com. Or if you like, you can purchase a paper copy through Amazon or Barnes & Noble. In these podcasts, we'll go chapter by chapter, discussing our character's journey through the land of God. If you haven't read chapters 1 and 2 yet, please do. Okay? Well, let's get started. All the people we've met in the first 2 chapters share a common condition. They're hungry. Some, like Grace, are in need of physical, natural food, but everyone has a hunger of the heart. Some call this place the soul, but whatever name we give it, everyone I know has one, and we're all continually hungry. In chapter 1, the symbolism of the church reminded Grace of her hunger. Sadly, the food being served that day was merely symbolic. The problem is you can't eat symbolism. You can't eat ideas, intellectual beliefs, not even religious ones you're passionate about. They can't fill the void inside. They have no substance, as they only exist in the mind. One thing for sure, we're all continually hungry, and we will eat something. We aren't who we think we are, hope to be, pretend to be, or who others say we are. We are literally the sum total of what we eat, physically, mentally, and spiritually. There's no escaping or bypassing this truth. And starvation is not a sustainable option. The question is not, will we eat, but what we'll eat. And will what we're eating make us healthy and strong, give us life, or make us sick? Sometimes to death. We'll need our strength because the next storm is coming. It's only a matter of time. Even if it's a bright and sunny day, anxiety, stress, relentlessly stalk the lives of so many. They wait, tormented with fear, dreading the next storm that will blow across their life. But in spite of the anxiety, Grace, like many people, still have a hope. It may be a glimmer, but hope remains. The hope that somewhere, over the rainbow, skies are blue. Maybe, someday, I'll wake up in a beautiful place, a place where I can breathe. Maybe you've seen glimpses of this place in your dreams, maybe even flashes while awake. We somehow know there is a real happy place. We just know. But where is it? And more importantly, how do we get there? As soon as possible. In Chapter 2, Grace has survived her latest storm and wakes up in a very strange place. Well, actually, she's still in her room at the church, but looking outside, it's pretty obvious. She's not in Texas anymore. She's somehow been transported into the center of the most beautiful and quaint little village. She's amazed at how everything is so colorful and alive, not like where she lived in Texas. Leaving the church behind and taking a look around, she spots a table of awesome-looking food. She's very hungry, and not noticing anyone around, she begins to fill a plate with the amazing and hot food. But just as she's about to take her first bite, the food police show up and scold her for having the nerve to eat from the table. They say they're from something called the government, and inform Grace this food is not to be eaten now, of course, but later. This food is being saved for some time in the future. A lady named Linda appears to be in charge and quickly begins pressuring Grace to apply for government citizenship and their Work for Food program. Grace tells her she doesn't want to become a citizen or work. She just wants to find her way home. All Grace can seem to think about now is going home. This is strange, as all she could think about while at home was leaving. But we'll give her a break, as the land of God isn't exactly the cool new destination she had in mind. Grace asks for directions to get back home, but the people of God have never heard of Texas, and instead begin the process of indoctrinating her into their way of thinking. First we work, someday we eat. Even though she's just arrived and didn't have a clue, the authorities inform her that she must immediately begin working in order to earn food vouchers, or she'll starve. They seem fixated on putting her to work, even though she's just arrived, and hungry, by the way. Grace refuses to be indoctrinated and decides to leave town and find her own way. Confused and frustrated, she walks away hungry rather than join the program. But after walking for what seemed like hours, she finds herself right back where she started. Friends, leaving the land of God can be very difficult. People often spend a long time walking in circles when first trying to find their way home from the land of God. Home. Home is more than our house, our address. Home is where we belong. Home is where we find comfort, rest, safety. Home is where we fit. Home is where we love and are loved. Home is a central part of who we are. But this doesn't stop people like Grace from wanting to find new homes, though. New places where they'll really belong, be a better fit. People are continually on the move, always striving to get from where they are to where they think they want to be, need to be. New house, new car, new job, more money, new stuff, new city, new state, new boyfriend, new girlfriend, new life, etc., etc. But even if we're able to achieve the changes we strive for, the happiness we find there is usually short-lived, and the hunger quickly returns. This drives us to begin a new search for something else, something more. What kind of sort of satisfied the hunger yesterday just doesn't seem to work today. Worn out from the day, Grace sneaks back into town, snatches some bread and a bottle of wine from the roped-off table, and heads back to the old empty church. Collapsing on the floor, she begins to eat and drink with reckless abandon. Gorging herself, the bread and the wine taste like heaven. She begins to feel surprisingly peaceful and actually catches herself smiling. There she is, sitting in the same sanctuary as she had so many times. But this time was different. Sprawled out on the floor, she devoured, feasted on the bread and wine, and was content and satisfied. Think about the word sanctuary. A few religions have adopted the word sanctuary as the name given their places of worship. Often these so-called sanctuaries are places of dread, where God is portrayed as foreboding, demanding, at least far away, and of course untouchable. But the meaning of the word sanctuary is a place of refuge or safety. Contradictions are commonplace in the land of God, so much so that people are rarely surprised by them. Well, soon someone knocks on the door of the church and offers to help Grace find her way home. It's the guy with the round glasses who pretended to read from the map book. He admits he can't understand the book anymore, but wants to help any way he can. Thank God for people who help us find our way, even if they're a bit lost themselves. People who have no hidden agenda, who simply care and tell us the truth, even if they don't have all the answers. The man tells Grace there was someone called the Wizard who can definitely help her get back home. He tells her the Wizard lives in a place called the EC, but the getting there will be a long journey. Of course, he's never personally been to the EC or met the Wizard. Well, that's an important little detail, but Grace has no other options at this point, so she has to try. In the end, the man with the round glasses didn't give Grace anything tangible, but he did leave her with something she needed more than anything at this point. Hope. Hope doesn't get much credit these days. Hoping for something good to happen is often code for, I really don't believe anything good will happen to me, but you never know. Somebody's got to win the lottery. Friends, true hope is not lame, wishful thinking. Hope is the train we ride to the land of our dreams. That may sound corny, but it's true. Hope is the womb where all dreams are birthed into reality. Hope is the womb of our lives. Everything good, beautiful, creative, everything worthwhile, every new invention is conceived in the womb of hope. We must see something through the eyes of hope before we see it with our natural eyes. Exhausted, Grace falls asleep after the man leaves, but she's startled awake just before dawn, and looking out the window, she sees someone pushing a cart, putting out fresh food on the roped-off table. Why would anyone go to the trouble to put out fresh food on a table nobody was allowed to eat from? The man with the cart was whistling a familiar tune, but she couldn't place it. Soon the aroma of the food reached her room. Breathing it in, a smile appeared on her face again, in the midst of it all. In his iconic song, John Lennon invited us to imagine no religion. Well, I'd like to ask if we can imagine God apart from religion. The tragedy is countless people like Grace wander the land of God, desperate and starving, seeking help. They're not looking for work, to join a group, or for rituals to perform. They're hungry. They need food, and they need it now. Where do you go for help? Seems like everyone has an agenda for you, doesn't it? They want something from you, out of you, but you have nothing to give. That's why you came for help. I'm not seeing any better options. Some lost people decide to reluctantly join a religious program. Many, maybe most, eventually walk away confused, discouraged, and of course still hungry. They'll look for what they need elsewhere, in some new place. But will they find it? Thank God for the bread and wine on the table, right in the middle of the craziness. Amazing. You'd think the government would shut the table down. Maybe they can't. Religions that give us nothing spiritually tangible today are worse than useless. They can't be tested, and so they can't be trusted. I'm saying they're worse than useless because they lead us down the wrong path, and so we must backtrack to return to the beginning. Well, that's about enough for chapter 2. But as promised, I'm going to end the podcast with some good news. Most religious people would be scandalized at the very thought of Grace sitting on the floor of the sanctuary, gorging on bread and wine. They'd be certain any second heavenly lightning bolts would be vaporizing Grace into dust. I'd like to read you the account of Jesus' first miracle from the Bible. The backdrop is Jesus was at a wedding feast. In his culture, wedding receptions could go on for a very, very long time. Well, the host was about to run out of wine, and the mother of Jesus suggested he help out. This is from John chapter 2, starting at verse 6. Standing nearby were 6 stone water jars, used for Jewish ceremonial washing. Each could hold 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus told the servants, "Fill the jars with water." When the jars had been filled, he said, "Now dip some out and take it to the master of ceremonies." So the servants followed his instructions. When the master of ceremonies tasted the water that was now wine, not knowing where it had come from, though of course the servants knew, he called the bridegroom over. "A host always serves the best wine first," he said. "Then when everyone has a lot to drink, he brings out the less expensive wine. But you have kept the best wine until now." Jesus made between 120 and 180 gallons of wine for people who had already been partying for some time. He did it because he was asked to help. He did it freely, and he did it graciously. Before I go, friends, allow me to repeat something I said earlier. It's very common for people to spend a great deal of time walking in circles when first trying to find their way home out of the land of God. If this is you, you're hungry, you're thirsty, come along with us. Don't lose hope, and I promise we'll bring out the good wine. Grace and peace to you, my friend. Bye for now.